What if I told you that the reason you don't remember your dreams isn't chance or biology, it's a deliberate spiritual block? There is something, right now, acting on your mind to prevent you from seeing what is being revealed during sleep. And what's more disturbing, you may be ignoring messages that could transform your life. This video will reveal why you forget your dreams, who or what is creating this barrier, and how you can break through it to access spiritual realities beyond imagination. The answer may shake your certainties, but it may also be the key to a new phase of your inner journey. Are you ready to remember what your soul is trying to show you night after night? Are you ready to discover that your forgetfulness may actually be a protection or a prison? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and write here in the comments, I want to remember who I am in my dreams. This simple gesture is an energetic affirmation, a step toward your spiritual liberation. Stay until the end, because in the next few minutes, you will discover ancient techniques and forgotten teachings that can open the doors to the invisible world while you sleep. And most importantly, you will understand why remembering is an act of healing and forgetting, a subtle form of suffering. How many times have you woken up with that vague feeling that you dreamed, but can't remember? It's as if something important is about to be revealed, but it slips away from you like sand through your fingers. This forgetfulness is not simple distraction, nor is it a failure of the mind. According to Buddhism and other spiritual paths, this loss of dream memory is actually a clear symptom of disconnection from your own soul. Something inside or around you is blocking the flow of spiritual truth that tries to emerge while you sleep. Dreams are not just creations of the unconscious mind. They are portals. And what manifests there can come from much deeper places. From your energy field, from past experiences, from spiritual wisdom accumulated over lifetimes. When you forget, it is not the dream that is lost. It is the link to your essence that has been temporarily severed. And this cut happens for several reasons, all spiritual: fear, resistance, unresolved emotions, or even energetic presences that act as subtle veils of forgetfulness. Within the Buddhist path, it is believed that the state of sleep is an extension of the waking state of consciousness. In other words, if your consciousness is numb during the day, it will also be blank at night. The forgetting of dreams is a reflection of a fragmented consciousness that is not accustomed to observing or listening. We sleep as we live, distracted, hurried, disconnected. And so, when we receive subtle messages during sleep, we do not have the energetic structure to hold them upon awakening. In addition, there is the ego factor. The ego fears what it does not control. Dreams often reveal uncomfortable truths, old pains, inevitable changes. When something we dream threatens the structure that the ego has built, whether it is a belief, an image of oneself, or a path we do not want to abandon, the spiritual mind creates a conscious erasure as a way to avoid confrontation with this revelation. Forgetting, then, is not a lack of memory. It is an unconscious and spiritual protection mechanism. And here comes a delicate but necessary point. In some cases, forgetting is not a mistake, it is a defense. Your soul may be going through such profound experiences during sleep that your conscious mind is not yet ready to deal with them. Forgetting, in this case, acts as a spiritual protection mechanism. But even so, the call continues, because every soul wants to be heard, and the further you move away from what you experience in your dreams, the more you disconnect from your own inner truth. Now imagine if you could change that. If there were simple but powerful ways to clear these blocks, reopen this channel, and start listening to what your soul is trying to tell you again. And what if, in doing so, you began to remember clearly, meaningfully, powerfully? That's what this video will show you. Because not remembering your dreams may seem like a small thing, but in fact, it may be preventing you from receiving the greatest spiritual gift of your night, reconnecting with your essence. If you feel like something important is happening while you sleep, but you can't access it, this video is for you. Stay with me until the end, because in the next few minutes we're going to explore not only the spiritual reason for forgetting, but also how to transform your sleep into a bridge between the visible and the invisible. Because when you remember, you awaken even with your eyes closed. While your body rests on the mattress and your eyes are closed, something subtle but deeply real continues to happen. You may think you are simply turned off, but the truth is that sleep is never an absence. It is a crossing. During the night, consciousness withdraws from the physical world and enters more subtle layers of reality. It is in this interval between worlds that the soul finds freedom. Freedom to visit other dimensions, to receive messages, and often to perform healings that are only possible when the ego is asleep. In ancient spiritual traditions, sleep is believed to be a sacred opportunity. It is the moment when the spirit temporarily detaches itself from the physical body and plunges into broader realities, often called astral planes or parallel dimensions. In these spaces, time is not linear and the rules are not the same as in the material world. There you can encounter beings of light, relive past situations, access symbols that guide you, or simply feel that there is something much greater than what your eyes can see. You may never have realized it, but that strange dream, that feeling of flying or observing your own body, these are all clear signs that your soul is trying to show you something beyond visible reality. The problem is that, most of the time, we wake up so quickly, so caught up in the logic of the day, that we let it all slip away. The rational mind takes control again, and with it, the door through which the deepest experiences of the night past closes. There is a phenomenon called astral projection, which many experience without knowing it. It is when the soul detaches itself from the body with greater awareness and travels through other vibrational spaces. It is not a delusion nor a vivid dream. It is a real spiritual experience, experienced by thousands of people in all cultures around the world. But this phenomenon almost always happens spontaneously and unconsciously, as if the spirit were trying to leave, but fear, inattention, or heavy energy pulled it back. And when that happens, the only thing left is a void upon waking. Have you ever felt like you were suddenly falling while you were asleep? Or woke up with a start without knowing why? These are classic signs that your consciousness was about to expand but was abruptly pulled back, as if your soul were saying, "You're not ready yet." And in most cases, that's exactly why. We are not spiritually prepared for the experience that awaits us. Or rather, we have not been educated to understand and trust the invisible. And where there is fear, there is blockage. But when you start to see sleep as a spiritual journey, everything changes. Your body may be resting, but your soul is learning, visiting, healing, and often trying to bring you answers you've been searching for years. Only these answers come in the form of symbols, sensations, encounters. If you're not sensitive enough, all of this will be lost. And what was supposed to be a sacred night becomes just another forgotten dawn. In the next few topics of this video, you will learn how to prepare your energy field and your mind to receive these experiences with greater awareness. You will discover how to create a favorable environment, a receptive inner state, and how to wake up with the vivid memory of what your soul has experienced. Because sleeping is not disconnecting. Sleeping is connecting with the part of you that never sleeps and that, every night, tries to remind you of who you really are. While the physical body rests, your soul is not inactive. On the contrary, it is precisely at this moment that it frees itself from the limitations of matter and accesses higher planes of existence. And yes, this happens more often than you think. When you sleep, you are not just resting, you are passing through a kind of vibrational portal. And on this more subtle plane, your consciousness comes into contact with purer levels of reality, where answers are clearer, symbols are more intense, and wisdom is more ancient. This plane is not imaginary. It is real and more real than the objects around you. What happens is that it vibrates at a different frequency. That is why it can only be accessed when the body sleeps and the rational mind is silent. In this state, you can reconnect with spiritual guides, talk to higher versions of yourself, or receive profound messages about decisions, cycles, or healing that need to happen. It's as if your soul has climbed a few steps, and from there, looks at your life with greater clarity. Many people have glimpses of this plane, sometimes in the form of vivid dreams, symbolic encounters, unexplained voices, or sensations of being in places that don't exist here. And the feeling when you wake up is strange, a mixture of having experienced something important with the frustration of not being able to remember what it was. This is exactly where the mystery lies. Because the question is not whether your soul went to that plane. The question is, why can't you bring those memories back? The answer lies in the misalignment between the two worlds. The physical plane, heavy, busy, noisy, does not easily sustain what has been experienced on subtle levels. When you return to your body, to time, to routine, the energy changes abruptly. It's like trying to hold a delicate mist in your hands. What was clear falls apart. What was alive fades away, and once again you wake up feeling like you've been dreaming but with no images to hold on to. It's not that the soul didn't experience it. It's that the mind didn't know how to preserve it. This happens because, in most cases, we are not spiritually prepared to sustain the vibration of that plane when we wake up. The soul accesses it, but the mind is not yet able to translate it. We are so accustomed to haste, logic, and the rigidity of wakefulness that we have forgotten how to decode symbols, how to feel messages, how to listen to what has no voice. And when this happens, what was supposed to be a revelation becomes just a confused dream. But the good news is that this can change. The ability to remember what we experience on these higher planes is not a gift, it is spiritual training. And that training begins with intention, with the simple act of lying down with awareness, creating a clean space, saying a sincere prayer, or a clear affirmation, "May I remember what my soul experiences." When you plant this intention with respect, the channel begins to reopen. The soul understands that it can bring the messages back because there is someone ready to receive them. Have you ever woken up completely exhausted, even after hours of sleep, as if you had spent the entire night fighting something invisible? Or, on the contrary, have you ever woken up with unusual clarity, a feeling of deep motivation, as if you had received a new strength that makes you want to change everything? These feelings don't come out of nowhere. They are traces, vibrational remnants of what your soul experienced while your body rested. And even if you don't remember, the impact remains. There are nights when the soul faces energetic battles, unresolved situations, karmic ties, spiritual contacts. All of this can happen on subtle planes while you sleep, and the physical body feels it. You wake up feeling heavy, mentally foggy, with a sense of tiredness that has no logical explanation. It is the reflection of an intense spiritual journey, a process that your consciousness was unable to translate, but that your energy absorbed completely. The soul acted, but the mind did not follow. On the other hand, there are days when you wake up with a light heart, an inspired mind, a clarity that seems to come out of nowhere, but it did not come out of nowhere. It came from an encounter, perhaps with a spiritual guide, perhaps with a higher version of yourself, or simply from a deep insight you received on the invisible plane, and even though you don't remember it, it now vibrates within you as direction. It is on these days that we feel that something has changed, and it really has, because the soul has been in touch with the truth. These two extremes, inexplicable tiredness and sudden motivation, are clear signs that what happens during sleep goes far beyond physical rest. Sleep is a transition, and even if your rational mind can't bring back all the details, your energy field records everything. You feel without understanding, you react without remembering. It's as if the body wakes up carrying an invisible message that shapes your mood, your decisions, and even your sensitivity that day. That's why we often wake up out of tune, irritable, anxious, directionless. The soul may have come into contact with something important, but due to a lack of preparation or sensitivity, the mind was unable to absorb it, and the result is noise. An uncomfortable feeling, but one that is actually a sign that there is something to be heard, something that has been left between worlds and needs to be integrated. And the more we ignore these signs, the deeper the disconnection becomes. Waking up motivated is also a call. It's not just a good morning. It's as if the universe is saying, your soul has seen something, and now you have the energy to transform. When you feel that urge, that sudden clarity, that desire to act, listen, honor it. It's the right time to step out of autopilot and do what you've been putting off. Because that vibration doesn't come from the ego, it comes from the part of you that accessed the higher plane and came back with a message. Even if you don't remember the details yet, start paying attention to the effects. Your body speaks, your energy responds, and your awakening every day brings clues about what has been experienced on the invisible planes. The next step is to learn how to prepare, tune in, and decode these experiences with greater clarity. And that's exactly what we're going to cover next: how to transform the act of sleeping into a conscious spiritual practice and make room to remember, feel, and integrate. Remembering your dreams is not a matter of luck, much less a skill that only a few have. In fact, spiritual memory is a direct reflection of your energy state before sleep. The problem is that almost no one treats the act of falling asleep as something sacred. We lie down tired, with our cell phones in hand, racing thoughts, accumulated emotions, and we wait for the soul to reveal something to us. But how can it do that if it hasn't been given any space to enter? It all starts with how you prepare to cross the portal of sleep. Before going to sleep, it is best to create a small ritual. Something simple, but with intention. Turn off bright lights, turn off screens at least half an hour before, slow down your breathing, feel your body, and take an inner pause. These seemingly small gestures completely change the vibrational state of the field. They tell the soul, I am available, I am silent, I am ready to listen. And when that message is true, the soul responds. It begins to trust the space, and spiritual memory begins to blossom. The mind also needs to be educated. A powerful practice is to repeat affirmations before going to sleep. Phrases such as, I am ready to remember what my soul has experienced. I receive messages from the spiritual world with clarity. I wake up with awareness and lightness. These phrases are not magic, but they are seeds. You are programming your subconscious mind to remain open even during sleep. And over time, the mind stops blocking and begins to welcome. The body, in turn, also needs to be a temple. Eating lightly at night, keeping your bedroom tidy, using subtle scents such as lavender or sandalwood, or even placing a crystal such as amethyst next to your bedel, of these things help to raise the frequency of the space and of your body itself. Remembering dreams requires lightness. Overloaded bodies cannot sustain subtle messages. Therefore, sleeping with physical balance is part of the spiritual process. Another transformative practice is keeping a dream journal. Even if you wake up remembering only a fragment, write it down. Sometimes it's just a color, a word, an emotion. But by writing it down, you send a command to your brain, this is important, and the mind begins to cooperate. Little by little, you begin to remember more. And most impressive of all, you begin to notice patterns. Symbols that repeat themselves. Lessons that come back in cycles. It's like putting together a puzzle of the soul. The key to everything is consistency. None of this works if you do it once a week automatically. Remembering dreams is a relationship with the invisible world. And that relationship needs care, repetition, truth. The more you honor this process, the more it reveals itself. And then, one night, you wake up with a vivid, powerful, meaningful memory. You realize that it wasn't just a dream, it was an encounter with something greater. And that's the beginning of the turnaround. Because when you start remembering your dreams, you also start remembering who you are. Memories aren't just about images, they're about truths, about paths, about parts of you that were dormant. There are dreams that come to us, but there are others that we can consciously enter. This is what we call lucid dreaming, a state in which you are asleep but know that you are dreaming. And more than that, you can act, choose, interact. In this state, the dream ceases to be just a passive message and becomes a territory of learning, healing, and discovery. It is as if the soul, for a few moments, awakens within the invisible itself. Many people think that this type of dream is rare or inaccessible, but that is not true. Lucid dreaming can be cultivated with simple practices, as long as they are done with intention and consistency. One of the first steps is recognition while awake. Train your mind during the day to ask yourself, am I dreaming right now? It may seem strange, but this habit begins to carry over into sleep. And then, at some point during the night, that question echoes within the dream, and at that moment, you wake up. Another essential point is to maintain a high vibrational state before going to sleep. Lucid dreaming is not ego control, it is an opening of the soul. It is not about commanding the dream world, but about being conscious within it in order to receive it more deeply. Therefore, emotional lightness, gratitude, and inner silence are fuel for achieving this state. The more peaceful your energy is, the clearer the experience becomes. You can also use signals within the dream itself to recognize that you are dreaming. Try to notice details that change, such as text that scrambles when you reread it, or mirrors that show something unusual. These simple tests, done with attention during the day, begin to appear naturally in dreams. And when you notice the inconsistency, your consciousness opens up like a flash and what was just a symbolic setting becomes a real space of spiritual presence. Being lucid in a dream is more than exploring landscapes or creating scenes. It is being able to find guides, access memories, heal old wounds, and talk to parts of yourself that have not yet revealed themselves. It is an encounter between the waking consciousness and the deep unconscious bridge that, when crossed, transforms. And often, when you wake up, you feel like something real has happened. It wasn't imagination, it was an experience, and it leaves its mark. This kind of experience requires spiritual courage, because when you wake up inside the dream, you find yourself facing a symbolic universe that reacts to your real energy. Everything that appears there is a reflection of you, including what frightens you. That's why lucid dreaming isn't just beautiful. It can also be intense, revealing, and disconcerting. But it is precisely in this intensity that its value lies, because what challenges us is exactly what we need to see. Deep down, living a lucid dream is remembering that reality is much broader than what the eyes can perceive. It is a call to step out of automatic mode not just at night, but also in life. Because if you are able to wake up within a dream, you are also able to wake up within patterns, habits, emotions, and choices that no longer make sense. Lucidity does not begin in dreams. It begins with the decision to see. Remembering your dreams is not just a mystical curiosity. It is one of the deepest paths to self-knowledge and spiritual reconnection. When you begin to clearly access what lives on the subtle planes during the night, your perception of reality is transformed. Dreams come to be recognized for what they really are: symbolic encounters with forgotten parts of yourself, and also with presences that continue to guide you even beyond matter. Many people report, when they begin to remember their dreams more clearly, encounters with loved ones who have passed away. And not as distorted emotional memories, but as real reunions, intense, affectionate, full of messages and hugs that transcend any rational understanding. These moments are not inventions of the mind. They are manifestations of the spiritual bond that remains alive. The soul recognizes the soul, even when the body is gone. And these reunions bring healing where before there was only longing and silence. Other dreamers encounter figures of light, beings that have no defined face, but radiate peace, steadfastness, and wisdom. These are spiritual guides mentors who accompany the soul on its journey, even when it is unaware. In dreams, they manifest themselves to guide, protect, or simply remind us, you are not alone. Sometimes, a short phrase spoken by a guide in a dream is enough to change someone's entire perspective upon waking up. It is the right advice at the right time, coming from a dimension that knows more. It is also common to relive old memories in lucid or deeper dreams, unresolved conversations, scenes from childhood, forgotten emotions. And in these dreams, we have the chance to react differently, understand with more maturity, or simply observe with compassion. This type of dream is not repetition, it is reconciliation. It is as if the soul, by revisiting them, is organizing its emotional field, clearing invisible burdens that prevent lightness in waking life. In addition, spiritually remembered dreams carry coded messages about the present moment, repeating symbols, manifesting archetypes, situations that reflect the dilemmas of the present. By decoding these signs with sensitivity, you begin to receive guidance for decisions, insights into relationships, and warnings about paths that need to change. The dream becomes a compass. The night is no longer an endpoint, it becomes the map for the morning. Gradually, remembering dreams in depth transforms your relationship with the invisible. Life becomes more sacred. Everyday life takes on meanings that were previously unnoticed. Intuition becomes more refined. Presence increases, and the feeling of isolation dissolves, because you begin to feel that there is a real link between world sand. That link is being reactivated every night, from the inside out, from soul to soul. Remembering your dreams is remembering that you are on a journey, that there is more, that there are eyes watching you with love, even when you forget who you are. It is having access to a living library of teachings, reunions, advice, and revelations, all tailored to your needs. And when that memory awakens, everything changes. Because you understand that the spiritual world was never far away, you were just sleeping inside. If you've come this far, it's because something inside you is already awakening. You may not even realize it, but this desire to remember your dreams is actually a silent call from your soul to return to yourself. Life has been moving fast, the days have been intense, and you've been trying to find answers for a long time. But maybe they were already coming, night after night, and all that was missing was one detail: remembering. Now you know that forgetting dreams is not natural, that there is a world being lived every night, even if the waking mind cannot capture it. And more than that your soul continues to move, learning, rediscovering, trying to show you what you are ready to see. Remembering is just the beginning. The real transformation begins when you embrace what has been revealed. So, starting today, treat your sleep as sacred. Disconnect with intention, breathe with presence, talk to your soul before you go to sleep, even if it's in silence. It's listening. It always has been. And if you do this consistently, you'll see that dreams aren't just messages, they're paths, portals, parts of you that come back home, bringing wisdom that can't be found anywhere in the physical world. And when the reunions, the advice, the symbols come, honor them, write it down, reflect on it, share it with those who know how to listen, because all of this is part of the journey of awakening. Every dream you remember is a piece of your soul being reintegrated. Every piece of guidance you receive is a compass that puts you back on the path to what is true. And there is nothing more valuable than that. If you feel that this video has touched you in any way, help me keep this energy alive. Like this video not as an automatic gesture, but as an energetic sign that you have heard this call. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue this journey with me. And write here in the comments, with truth and courage, I am ready to remember who I am. This phrase is not just a comment, it is a spiritual contract. Remember, no one awakens by chance. And if you are here, it is because something inside you already knows that there is much more to be lived even while you sleep. You are not alone. Others are also awakening, and together we can walk with more awareness, more clarity, more soul. Until next time,